In this episode, we are teaching 5 critical steps to take before retiring. My name's Doug Andrew. I've been a financial strategist now for more than 4.5 decades, helping people plan for a comfortable retirement. And so years ago, I developed a 5.5-hour course that people could come to and attend live. They would get a 40-page workbook called Retire by Design. And we would take them through these 5 steps in 5.5 hours. And so in this particular episode, I'm going to cover just glimpses of some of the key parts of step number 2. And then if this intrigues you, you're going to see how you can learn more about this by getting a copy of my book, Entitlement Abolition, or my financial book, The Laser Fund, and also the 40-page workbook called Retire by Design. So whether you like to read and learn, watch and learn, listen and learn, you'll see all kinds of opportunities as we proceed here. So the first step I covered in a previous episode, and make sure you watch that one because it talks about looking at the big picture. In this particular step, we're going to talk about the proper strategic tax planning. So as we proceed through here, you want to utilize strategic tax planning, and I'm going to help you understand why it's critical to go through a unique process of predictability. So at the end of the first step, I was talking about the true wealth transformation process. And this is a process I developed years ago that will help people make a transformation in their life, not just financially, but in every dimension of their life, all 3 dimensions, the financial, the foundational, and the intellectual dimensions. And so the first step of that process is what we call the enlightenment experience, and this is getting educated like you're getting educated right now. Then you can go through what is called a true wealth discovery to find out where you're at and where you're wanting to go. And then you can see a strategic design of how to reposition maybe financial assets to increase the liquidity, safety, and rate of return so you do not outlive your money. And you see a success formula that has a lot of flexibility. Then you go through a refinement process. I have a beatitude, blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. And so you have to have flexibility. And then you arrive at what is called a final action blueprint. Then you go through and you implement the plan, and then you have to meet at least once a year to make sure you stay on track. Because if you take off to go around the planet, and if you were 1 degree off course, by the time you came around 26,000 miles, you would be 500 miles from your intended destination if you didn't correct that 1 degree that you were off course. So this is why it's important, because life is full of surprises, that you redirect or keep on course with all of your goals, not just the financial ones. So this is called the accountability factor. Now you can learn more about this if you engage in this 5.5-hour course called Retire by Design. Now I also mentioned at the end of step number 1 that a lot of times people are coming to learn about how to optimize their financial assets. And we go through 4 types of income in retirement that most people draw from. Investment income, real estate income, guaranteed income, or tax-free income. Now, my favorite is the green one. And so we explain in Retire by Design that this purple bucket is where a lot of Americans, I think, are way too top-heavy into having money in yet to be taxed IRAs or 401ks invested in the market. They have 80, 90, 100% of their money there. I would recommend that no more than 30% of your money at retirement be from that bucket. Some people own real estate and they're not happy. They don't want to be a landlord anymore. They don't want to fix toilet, evict tenants, and take out the trash. But they're stuck because they've been doing 1031 exchanges. We free them from that trap, and they're often shocked, even after paying a capital gain tax, how they can have equal or greater income out of the green tax-free bucket. Some people, they rely on Social Security or their school teacher pension or whatever. That's okay. I would recommend that no more than 30% of your income come from the purple or the blue bucket, and anywhere from 0 to 80% of your income come out of this orange bucket. Where do I recommend that 40 to 60% of your income come from at retirement? The tax-free bucket. so that 40 to 60% of your income doesn't even show up on your 1040 tax return. Now, the IRS knows you're receiving it, but it's tax-free. And we've had many people do what I call strategic rollouts to where we take them from 200,000 of taxable income down to 80,000. They still have 200,000 of cash flow every year, but 60% of it, 120,000, is in the tax-free bucket. The IRS knows they're receiving it, but it's tax-free. We have saved many people $500,000, $750,000, $1.2 million for one couple on their IRAs and 401ks of unnecessary tax. One couple in California, we took them from the highest tax bracket to a 0% tax bracket in less than 5 years, moving money out of the purple bucket down here to the green bucket. Okay? You'll learn how in this course. So throughout the Retire by Design workshop that I would implore you to dive into deeper, you're going to learn how to convert to tax-free strategies. And the book that I recommend is The Laser Fund, and I'm going to gift you a copy of it at the end of this episode if you like to read and learn. So basically, we're talking about so many people follow the advice of traditional planners, and they try to charge up a retirement battery, so to speak, that hopefully won't go dead before you do. Well, there's 3 big things that short out most people's retirement batteries: taxes, inflation, and market volatility. We can make you immune from those in step number 3, okay? But you've got to understand what you want is a very powerful generator that generates income for as long as you live, if you live to be 120, and it usually generates anywhere from double to triple, even quadruple what most people have their money in IRAs and 401ks. It generates money not only as long as you live, but for your spouse, your children, and grandchildren in what I call a family bank. You'll learn about that in the Retire by Design course. When I ask people, how many of you feel like future tax rates will be lower? I get nothing but crickets. How many think they're going to be the same? Very few hands go up. When I ask, how many of you think taxes in the future will be higher? A sea of hands goes up, and then I say, so why are you postponing tax? Why did you defer or procrastinate paying tax in these IRAs or 401ks to some future perceived unknown advantage? And people say, well, I was told I would likely be in a lower bracket. Well, I found that most people who accumulate a respectable retirement nest egg are not in lower brackets. The only people in lower brackets are those that didn't save very much. So we need to now correct the problem. This is why we look at multiple ways that the government uses to raise taxes. They raise tax rates, tax thresholds, they eliminate deductions. The government giveth and the government taketh away. The largest deductions we typically lose in retirement might be your mortgage interest deduction. Your children or dependents move away. If they move back, you can't deduct them anymore. You're not contributing money to IRAs or 401ks. And if you're a business owner, you don't have those. And so we're sort of going down the highway with one foot on the gas pedal and the other foot on the brake pedal. And we don't even know we're doing it. We're putting money in tax deferred accounts, and we're killing our tax deductions as we go by paying off the house and by later on not contributing to those accounts. So the biggest dangers that cause people to outlive their money are taxes, inflation, which causes people to outlive their money because they have to double the amount they withdraw in order to have the same standard of living about every 7 to 10 years. Market volatility, your money should not be in the market when you retire. Wall Street was not built for that. And then expenses, medical expenses, long-term care. These are the things that cause people to take care of their health because people are living longer and they're running up healthcare costs. We can solve or eliminate the danger of time. So that's what step number 2 is all about. The biggest dangers are taxes, inflation, and market volatility. My favorite vehicle, which I call the Laser Fund, actually eliminates these dangers, makes you immune from them because you can convert to tax-free vehicles. The Laser Fund is totally tax-free. Inflation will help you instead of hinder you. You link your returns to the things that inflate. I don't like inflation any more than anybody, but it doesn't hurt me. If inflation goes to 10, I earn 15. If it goes to 20, I earn 25. You link your returns to the things that inflate. And this is important for you to know now. And then you want to make yourself immune from market volatility. You want to be able to make money when the market goes up and not lose when it goes down by using indexing. So the 3 greatest strengths of my favorite vehicle, which I call a Laser Fund, which is indexed universal life insurance contracts, structured to be maximum funded, it turns into a tax-free cash cow, is liquidity, safety, and rate of return. Those are the three key elements of a prudent investment. So folks, deferred taxes mean increased taxes. If you were to reposition money and do it strategically, you could accumulate your money totally tax-free. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is a laser fund. So as you do that, you'll learn about 4 phases of retirement planning: contribution, accumulation, distribution, and transfer. Most Americans are crawling around a racetrack, so to speak, on this $1 million dash. And they put money in taxed as earned investments. It's the worst way to save and the most common way people save: banks, credit unions, regular mutual funds. If you put after-tax money into an annuity, you only get one green circle. You take after-tax money, it's tax deferred, but when you start taking out income, it's now taxable LIFO. You'll learn what that means. If you put money into traditional IRAs or 401ks, you only get a tax break on the seed money. Do you know a dollar doubling every period for 20 periods will grow to $1 million if it's tax-free? People say, well, it will if it's tax-deferred. No, you got to go to the back end when you start to take out the money. When you double that dollar and you pay tax every year as it doubles, you pay tax as you go, the way most people save, in a 25% bracket, you'll only have $72,000. Do you know in a 33% bracket, you'll only have $27,000, 2.7% of what you could have had. So what's better? See, instead of these strategies, what I like to use is something that's going to be tax-free on the back end during the harvest. This is why I would rather pay tax on the seed money and enjoy the harvest without tax. This is not a Roth. A laser fund is way better than a Roth, and you'll learn in Retire by Design why. So most of these traditional IRAs or 401ks give you a tax break on the front end, but on the back end you pay tax. I would rather take after-tax money and put it into an MFTA, Max Funded Tax Advantage Section 101A alternative. That's a laser fund. I can accumulate my money tax-free. I can access my money tax-free. And when I die, it blossoms and transfers tax-free. This knocks the socks off of an IRA or 401k that only has 2 green circles. Now in Retire by Design, you'll also learn how you can actually have 4 green circles by using tax planning. I don't have time to do that in this episode. I'm already over time. But folks, learn how you can do what I call a strategic rollout. From this purple bucket, maybe reposition some of your real estate, but get money down here to the green bucket by performing what I call a strategic rollout. Learn how by using the laser fund. So folks, if this is intriguing you, I've just sort of hit the tip of the iceberg. I would implore you to engage in a full 5.5-hour Retire by Design online version. You can come to a live event if there's one in your area, or you can read my book, The Laser Fund. I'll show you how to get a free copy of this, but subscribe to this channel. It's free. Click the bell, then you'll be notified every time I post an in-depth answer to a financial question, which I do almost on a daily basis. Again, stay with me to the end, and I want to gift you a copy of the book, The Laser Fund, How to Diversify and Create the Foundation for a Tax-Free Retirement. So in the second step of these 5 critical steps, one of the things we do with strategic planning is we often set up what we call a strategic rollout. Let me give you a glimpse of that before I end this episode. I've had people come to me and they accumulated $2 or $3 million or more in tax-deferred IRAs and 401ks. And they thump themselves on the chest and say, look at what I've got. And I go, wow. Yeah, it looks like you could pull out $160,000 a year out of these IRAs or 401ks. And you have $40,000 coming from your school teacher pension or maybe Social Security or whatever. And they thump themselves on the chest and say, yeah, we got $200,000 of income. Well, you're going to need $400,000 in 7 to 10 years to buy the same gallons of gas and loaves of bread that $200,000 buys today at the current rate of inflation. But the biggest problem I see is that's all showing up on the front page of your 1040 tax return. They go, you mean there's another way? Yeah, that's in step number 3. Be sure and watch this episode next. What we did is we took a situation where people were paying $54,000 a year in tax the rest of their life. They only netted $146,000 out of the $200,000 to buy gas and groceries. In 5 years doing a strategic rollout, We removed $120,000 of their annual income off of their 1040 tax return. The IRS knows they're still receiving it, but they know it's tax-free. What does that mean? They still have $200,000 of income, but they only pay $21,600 in tax. They are netting $178,000 to buy gas and groceries. We save them $32,400 a year in tax, times the number of years they will likely live, and we save the average couple $810,000 in unnecessary tax. We do this all the time by performing step number 2 out of these 5 critical steps. If you would like a copy of the Laser Fund, you go to laserfund.com. That's again L-A-S-E-R, laserfund.com, or click on the link below. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling, and I'll fire out a copy for you. I'll pay for the book. You just contribute towards the shipping. You can read and learn. It's actually 2 books in one. This side is 200 pages with all the charts and graphs and explanations. If you learn more by stories, you flip it over. You read the orange side. This is 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. If you want to use your whole brain, read both, okay? But this will empower you, and I want you to claim your free copy. But by doing that, by going to laserfund.com, not only will you get this book, but you'll be in our database and be notified. You can attend a webinar and be qualified to get the 5.5-hour online course absolutely free. You don't want to miss out. So here's to your brighter future.